My name is Valeria, and I'm Talent Search and Development Manager at Placement International. We're so happy to have you here with us for a truly exciting opportunity. Today's session is all about Mina Group, and we are joined by a very special guest, Mr. Kendrick Burkholder, Director of Recruiting at Mina Group. Hi, Kendrick.
Hello, Valeria.
While we're waiting for a few more people to join, let's give Kendrick a warm welcome in the comments. And don't forget to tell us where you're watching us from. We love to see where our global audience is tuning in from. How are you doing,
Please.
by the way, Kendrick?
I'm great. Little, as I said, where I am, it's a little chilly. It's hot everywhere else, but it's a little chilly here this morning.
Well, I'm sure in the next couple of weeks the weather will change it and will give you a bit of warmth.
Yeah.
Okay, well now to everyone watching, before we actually begin, if you're not familiar with the Mina Group itself, let me give you a quick intro. Mina Group has been founded by award-winning Chef Michael Mina. With a career spanning over 3 decades, Chef Mina has earned multiple Michelin stars and created a brand that's become synonymous with culinary excellence and innovation. Today, Mina Group operates over various locations in the US. Kendrick, just give us a few examples.
Oh man. So right now we're in about 14 states and three different countries. So we're in most every major urban market in the U.S. except for a few. We have properties in New York, Miami, Nashville, Charleston, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Las Vegas. Um, I'm gonna forget some: Jackson Hole, Scottsdale, Honolulu, Dubai, Riyadh. We have some new things coming up in Florida. We have a new property in Texas. We have a property in Idaho. And we're all over the place, and our concepts really run the gamut. So we do still have our Michelin starred flagship, which is based in Las Vegas. We have a little over a dozen fine dining steakhouses, which is probably our most prolific concept. We have French concepts, Italian concepts, Middle Eastern concepts. Kind of upscale barbecue. We have a few more casual outlets as well. We have a fish house in Hawaii. I mean, just a real we have a Japanese restaurant. I mean, a real diversity of concepts in terms of what we do.
Indeed, it's a crazy amount of locations that you have, and
It's
it's
quite a few.
indeed. But today we have a special chance to gain experience with one of the particular top restaurants of the group and have a chance of living in a vibrant environment of beautiful Honolulu, right? In
Oh yeah,
Hawaii.
right behind me here, actually.
And this session will cover everything that you guys need to know about how to secure a paid internship with Mina Group in the US, including benefits, job responsibilities, and what life is like when you're working steps away from the beach. So, Kendrick, to kick off, could you please tell us a bit more about Mina Group itself? We just heard about a great amount of restaurants that you have across the world,
Yeah.
but what makes it so special as an organization in the
You know,
world
it's
of
interesting.
hospitality?
Absolutely. As a larger company, our drive is to still remain a very chef-driven company. And as you grow to our size, that gets really difficult. And I think we
Mhm.
do an excellent job of that. We are very food forward in terms of our approach. So, if you look on our website, you'll see all of our food is beautiful, first off, but it's also
Indeed.
really delicious. And we really look for that comes from the talent pool, right? So
Mhm.
we look for chefs who have, a mind to wow, right? Our first priority is always to wow the guests. So, we always try to hire people with that mindset, and we always try to hire people with the mindset of growth and improving their own skill set. We talk a lot about a student's mindset.
Mhm.
Even Michael Mina would say this, that like he's still learning and he's still picking up new things, and that we can all learn from the people around us and the cultural experience or the historical experience that they bring to the table. So we have these chefs that are, they're first off, they're students of the game. They've been cooking their whole careers. They're still learning. They're bringing new ideas to the menu. We change our menus seasonally at every location. We have no restaurant that has a static menu
Mhm.
anywhere. And then the next part of that is sharing ideas. I think something that really sets us apart is that knowledge sharing is so important to us that about 15 years ago or so, we built a system called Recipe Exchange, and it is the repository of all culinary knowledge in our company. So every single recipe that has ever been cooked at every single restaurant lives in this database and is accessible to everyone, hourly employees included, including the interns who come to work with us. So if you're an intern with us, you have access to Recipe Exchange. I mean, obviously, we expect you're going to focus on your own restaurant, learning those recipes. But if you're just curious, which is what we want, and you want to see, hey, what are they working on in that restaurant in Dubai? What are they working on in that restaurant in Charleston? What are they doing at at Pablo Izakaya in San Francisco? We fully encourage you to go in. And it's also not just recipes. We have wine pairings in there, cocktail pairings. Sometimes there's video content associated with them. It talks about the allergies. It, and then you actually see the way we put recipes together. Everything is components. So you'll see kind of a master recipe that is on a menu will be composed oftentimes of 8 different recipes. And then you can see, well, where are those recipes being used elsewhere? How is that getting shared? It gives an opportunity for, if someone has a great idea, someone else can run with that idea. So I can give you an example of this. Several years ago, we had a chef who developed a recipe for an eggless béarnaise sauce using tofu as the base, which sounds weird, but it was delicious. It tasted exactly like béarnaise sauce. It would never break. It was extremely stable. You could even reheat it. It was a great recipe for a restaurant because that can be a finicky sauce and it can break. And so, that recipe showed up on his menu, and then all of a sudden you started seeing it in a number of other restaurants as other chefs were like, that's such a great idea. And it was the fact that we're so open about sharing those culinary ideas enables us to kind of help everyone push forward, right? It's the old adage is a rising tide raises all boats. And we like to do that culinarily.
I think the fact of having this database already wows anybody, employees or guests included. But do you happen to know the number of recipes that is in this database?
Oh man. I know it's like 10,000.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
I might be lowballing it a little bit. I actually think it's a little over that.
Oh, you need to keep us posted on the exact number of the recipes that you have there, just out of curiosity. And guys, comment in the section below the video how many recipes you think are in that database, just out of curiosity. Let's make a little challenge. Kenrick, what kind of job opportunities are currently available at Mina Group, especially in the Honolulu location?
Great. So right now we're placing interns and trainees at our restaurant in Honolulu, Strip Steak. It's sort of our version of a modern American steakhouse with a strong Japanese influence. So the roles are really going to focus on culinary at this restaurant. And unfortunately, we don't have necessarily a pastry position. Someone with a background in Japanese cuisine is definitely a very nice to have for us, as we do have. Excuse me, we do have a Japanese fish program there. We do have a sushi program there. That restaurant is really unique because we do have 2 locations of it. We have a second one in Vegas, and they're very different from each other. The one in Hawaii has this very strong Japanese influence, and also we have the just abundance of amazing seafood being on a Hawaiian island. So we really like to lean into that local produce. There's beautiful produce on the island as well, so we have excellent local produce. We have excellent local fish. We've done some kind of guest menus. We also have a fish house on the island, so we've done sort of some guest chef dinners where we focus it a little more on the fish. Even though it's called strip steak, we've done some sort of fish house menus there, which are really cool. We have beautiful seafood. Also, it's just in an amazing location. I mean, it really is in paradise. Like my backdrop, this is the patio of strip steak. I mean, there's not a more beautiful place to be. It's a really great place to work. It's a great place to learn. Our chef there, Garrick, has been with the company for, oh man, I've known Garrick a long time. I want to say 10 years plus. So he goes way back. He's really good at building community. And I think what makes specifically strip steak so special, I think we do this everywhere, but in Hawaii, it's really on a different level, is, the kind of aloha spirit and really building a family, that we have a pretty tight knit group of in terms of employees on our team. A lot of them have been together for a long time, especially our guys in the front of house have been there forever. And it's really this ohana idea, right? The kind of Hawaiian word for family. We really kind of embrace that in that restaurant. I know they do some outings every now and again. They go to a farmer's market together to buy produce, to buy fish and things like that for pre-shift. It's just a lot of fun. It's a really cool restaurant.
Wow. I know that a lot of chefs actually go to various markets in the mornings, time to time during the week to pick their produce. It's part of their day-to-day routine responsibilities that they have. But can you dive a bit more into what is expected in the roles that you're offering to the J1 candidates?
Absolutely. So the biggest thing, I mean, and this actually goes back to something I said a minute ago. The number one thing is bringing a student's mindset.
Hmm.
For us to bring on interns and to bring on trainees, our goal is not just have them be a contributing member of their team, which of course we want that, but we want to see them progressing. We've really designed our program so that people get to advance and get to go to different stages. You know, we want them to come in, we want them to be curious, we want them to be really driving, right? To say like, okay, how can I do this better? We used to see this a lot on our website. We kind of do some of this internally now, but we have some Japanese philosophy things that we hold really dear. And this idea of kaizen, this student's mindset, and always every day coming with, how can I push myself a little further? How can I do this a little bit better? That's what we want to see. So we want to see people who kind of come in and really, really not just dive into the cuisine, but kind of dive into the work and say, all right, if I'm working garde manger for the next month, how can I do this perfectly? How can I get really good at this? And we tend to reward that attitude, right? If
Hmm.
we have the opportunity to give you more exposure, to give you more to do so that you can learn more, we will always do that. I think one of my favorite things is, we've had some interns who've been with us a long time, and we've done this at a few of our restaurants where on their very last day, they're in charge of staff meal. So they make the meal for the whole staff. And usually, especially when we've had like an intern or a trainee, they usually will do something that's really close to their culture, which is awesome for everyone. Like the staff is super excited because it's usually like the best pre-shift they've had in a month. Because part of it is like, when you're representing your own culture, you're bringing so much love to it. It's just awesome. But we don't necessarily do it on the last day, right? Like if they have the aptitude for it, and we can say, hey, how do you feel about making a dish for pre-shift today, right? Giving them a little bit of creative input and get the chance to like put up a dish is always really fun.
Well, definitely, I think everybody would be excited to see various cultures. And given that you have candidates on a yearly basis for various locations, I'm sure the menu that they get to create is quite exciting. But all of these parts, they add on to your work culture, right? Can you
Mhm.
tell us a bit more about
Very much so. It's you get out what you put in is the biggest thing.
that?
So if you bring in that work ethic, what you take away from it is A, you're going to grow your skill set, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are going to be a better cook when you walk out the door. But beyond just, the knife skills and the cooking skills and all that, it's about how to think about food, how to think about the work, how to work with purpose and organization. I think what sets us apart, the reason we have as many restaurants as we do is part of it is the systems we've created, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to build systems that really work. So we try to be really organized. I talked about recipe exchange. The other system we have is something that we call Miniversity. It's our learning management system. And if recipe exchange is the font of culinary knowledge, University is everything else, right? It's all of the other skills you need. And so in that system, we've built training essentially for everything else. There's training around marketing, around social media, around photography, how to read a P&L, how to do theoretical food costing, how to do your inventory systems. Those tools are so invaluable
Mm-hmm.
to how to think about this business as a business, right? And to do it really effectively. When I interview prospective students to come on board our team, the first or second question I ask is, what are your career goals? Where do you want to go? And so many of them, I would say 90%, they want to open their own restaurant, which is great. And being a good cook is 5% of doing that. It's like having the ability to cook is such a tiny part. The business acumen, the understanding it as a business is such a huge part of it. And if we can get past just teaching you culinary skills and can start focus on here's how you start thinking about this stuff as a business, that's when I get really excited when you get a student who it says like, hey, I want to learn more about how you guys are calculating the food cost. I want to learn more about, how you guys are breaking down the P&L. That's when we get really excited because we're like, oh, this is someone that like they're very serious. They want to see how far their career can go, how high their ceiling is, and that's really exciting to us because that's when we really see a lot of potential for growth.
Guys, I really hope you're listening very carefully how to make Kenrick get to an offer.
I'm giving everyone the answer to the test right now.
Exactly. All of the advice is how to hack the interview. Speaking of the skills, you said there is a whole system behind it. You're willing to teach your candidates to have it. We covered the qualities of candidates that you'd like to have, but what are the skill set that they need to bring to the table when they just get onboarded?
So at the very beginning, we need some basic culinary skills. I mean, we definitely need someone who has some nice skills. They have some cooking skills. Ideally they've had some real world experience outside of school. That's not always requisite. I mean, for
Hmm.
us, attitude trumps everything. If you have the right attitude, I mean, our VP of culinary, I've heard him say, I mean, I've gotten a note from him of, oh, he's very green. He hasn't really cooked, but his attitude is so great. I think we should bring him on board because we can teach this person. So I mean, attitude really is everything. It's amazing what a difference that'll make. The difference of talking to someone who's genuinely excited about food and cooking
Hmm.
versus someone who, kind of fell into this but they're not passionate about it it's so apparent. You know immediately whether someone really cares about it. Um, I mean, in terms of hard skills, working in a reputable restaurant or a restaurant that just has good systems, right? People who come from who had a year or two experience in like a larger hotel, that's usually pretty good, right? That's usually great experience because they're very regimented, they're very organized. Or if you have the opportunity to even stage for a couple of months with a very reputable chef, not and it doesn't have to be at the Michelin level. I mean, that's great. If you've come in and you've worked in a Michelin star kitchen, that's phenomenal. Although in my experience, usually what that means is you were the lowest man on the totem pole and you were doing like you weren't really cooking, right? You were picking time leaves or you were doing a little bit of prep work. You weren't really dived into it. It's almost if you were in a smaller restaurant where you got to do more is a little more engaging. But we wouldn't get a sense of not just your cooking skill, but also your culinary point of view. Like how do you think about food is very important to us.
Good point. Very good one. Now, after talking about what's the side of what you expect from your candidates, what can the candidates expect from you in terms of benefits?
Great question. I mean, I know they get, healthcare and all that through the program.
Mm-hmm.
What our biggest thing is what we offer educationally. Access to our systems is first and foremost. I know a lot of companies don't do that. The fact that we're gonna kind of give you the keys to the kingdom, as it were, in terms of our systems, our recipes, and all of that. From a local level, it's really about mentorship, right? You get to build a relationship with one of our stronger chefs. And we usually try to do some throughout the year. We try to do some fun things in Hawaii. It's a little tricky because I know a thing we've done in the past in San Francisco is we've taken all of our J1 students to like baseball games or basketball
Mm-hmm.
games. That's always a blast. It's super fun. Not a lot of sports teams in Hawaii. um, I do know like they've done some really cool outings where like as a team they all went to the market and then they all everyone kind of dispersed and picked out some stuff and then they did our pre-shift meal together. They've done some like team picnics where I think the restaurant was closed for a day. And, like the whole team went out and they all went to a park and they did like a pig roast basically as a party for the staff. We don't do that all the time, but I know we've done that before. We've done some stuff where we've gone to the fish market or even gone out fishing to bring in some product for the restaurant. So you know those opportunities to do product knowledge. One of the things we try to do in a lot of our restaurants is every now and again, once a month or so, bring in an expert, right? Bring in a purveyor who can talk passionately about their product, whether that is, someone who's growing a produce item that we have on the menu, or if it's someone who's raising like Nara in Hawaii, someone who raises Nara deer, right? Who can come in and talk about that product. We have uh, uh, in our sister restaurant there in Hawaii, we have a really funny position called a fish sommelier. We're only one in the world works for us. With that person, their background used to be in free diving, so they could come in and talk about like fish, and in a way, they are so passionate about it. It gets you excited to learn more about the product, and then take that product knowledge with you, right? So it's really that educational piece is like the biggest benefit you get from us.
A very unusual thing to hear about something called fish sommelier.
It I tell people I'm like in my career I've hired about 5 fish sommeliers and there have only ever been 5 fish sommeliers in the world.
Very exclusive.
Very exclusive.
Well, for many of our candidates, that would be the very first time living in Hawaii or on an island, for example. What can they expect from life in Honolulu outside of work?
Man, it is not an exaggeration to say you're really living in paradise. It's a place where you have good weather 364 days out of the year, right? It's just stunning. I mean, the restaurant's a couple blocks from the beach. I would say if you don't know how to swim, learn to swim before you come. um, it every time I go there, I try to get to the beach as much as possible, and I would say that's pretty much the whole staff is a little bit like that. The hiking is amazing, the produce is amazing. There are amazing restaurants on Hawaii. It Honolulu is a fairly big city that has like a very small town feel, and that's just Hawaii. Hawaii has such a cool, unique vibe, and like the North Shore, which is not far away, it's a very short drive or bus ride away. Excuse me, has just a very different vibe than kind of downtown Honolulu. So you can get to these really kind of like small niche surfer towns. If you've ever wanted to learn to surf, there literally is not a better place on the planet to do it than Waikiki Beach. I mean, it's some of the most legendary surfing in the world. The snorkeling is amazing. The hiking is amazing. It's such a cool place to be, right? You live in a postcard. It's a lot of fun.
It makes me feel like going there, to be honest, right now. What is your favorite part about working with international students?
Just the diversity of experience they bring. In the last few years, when our program went a little more remote, our pool of international students got a lot more diverse. And we did an outing maybe a year or two ago where we took everyone to a Giants game in San Francisco. All of our international students who were based in San Francisco, we brought them all along. It was about 14 students,
Mm-hmm.
and they were from 13 different countries. And I'm like, this is just so cool because you get this diverse world experience. They all have different points of view. They're all passionate about food. And so you when you take restaurant people, especially when you take chefs and cooks out, you always talk about food. It's almost unavoidable. Like we're here watching baseball. We want to talk about baseball. We're talking about food because we all just love it. We're so passionate about it. And to hear I love talking to people about, what's a subject you're really passionate about, or in chefs, like, what is your favorite dish? What is it like? If you were to plan your last meal, what would you eat? And you get these really different answers. And I'll learn about things I've never even heard of. And then, if they have those conversations with our chef, they can bring in, it's like, hey man, do you want to make that dish and we can maybe play with it a little bit and we can maybe put it up for staff meal. I I love it when conversations start there and then you see this nexus of, and this has happened a few times where we've had even a student come in and they made us something for pre-shift or they made something for chef for him to try. And he's like, hey, that's really cool. Let's play with that idea a little bit. And then that develops into a dish. And then that kind of goes through our corporate chef team. And, we have a process for getting dishes on our menu, right? There's an approvals process. There's a lot of hands that kind of weigh in. We want to make sure it works with the concept. But you'll see these ideas. And then all of a sudden you'll see this stuff like show up on the menu. Like it might start as a daily special and then it might become a menu. And that's really cool. And I know in a few cases we've had students that have gotten dishes on the menu and the amount of pride they take when that happens. I got the chance to talk to one student and he had a dish that became a special and our chef was like, we're going to get this dish on the menu. I mean, and he was like, he had tears in his eyes. He's like, I can't believe I got a dish on them. I mean, he was like, just
The dream
so
comes true,
jazzed about
right?
it. I'm not going to say that happens often. It's like there's a process for that to happen. It has to really work with the concept. But man, I don't think I've ever seen someone more proud of something they had done. It was just great, right?
It's amazing. I'm telling you, it's one of the biggest dreams to come true for somebody who starts in the kitchen. They would like to see their recipes being live and enjoyed by the guests, which leads me to the next question. What is your advice to the candidates in order to achieve their goal?
Study,
Study.
study and work hard. Like
Okay.
take there's nothing as satisfying as a job well done,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't want to come in and put half of yourself into it. You want to put your whole self into it because you want to open yourself up to everything you can get out of it. If and I'm not saying you can't have a life outside of it. Not at all. I'm very big on work-life balance. I have a very healthy work-life balance. But when you're there, that's what you're focused on. I had a boss. and this was very early in my career, but I've been in restaurants for 25 years, and this was in like year one. And he said, the only person responsible for your mood and your attitude when you're at work is you. And you have
So
the
true.
opportunity every day to choose your attitude. Why would you choose a bad one?
So
And
true.
he's completely right, right? Like, and it really doesn't matter what happened outside of it. I mean, you might have had a terrible day. You like your girlfriend might have dumped you. You might have stepped in a puddle on your way in. But when you walk in those doors, you have the opportunity to say, you know what? None of that matters. I'm here. I'm going to focus. We're going to have a lot of fun. Like, we're going to have a good shift. We're going to be focused and we're going to have fun. And that's what we want people to do.
Thank you so much, Kendrick, for such a valuable insight. It's a great advice, and I think everybody should follow it. Work hard, play hard, and enjoy overall, right?
Do everything with intention. That's what it
Yes,
is.
yes, exactly. Cannot be more precise and on the point. So once again, thank you so much for sharing all of the incredible insights about Mina Group and great opportunities that are available right now, particularly in Hawaii. To everyone who joined us today, thank you so much for being part of this live session. We hope you leave feeling inspired and ready to take the next step in your international career. If you're interested in applying for a paid internship at one of Mina Group's prestigious restaurants, be sure to visit our website at www.placement-international.com or contact us directly at info@placement-int.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media for updates on future live events, job openings, and successful stories from interns like you. Thank you again for being with us today, and we hope to see you some of you living and working in Hawaii very soon.
Thank you so much, Valeria.
Thank you, Kendrick.